Okay, there's a bunch of different hop-up mods that people have been doing. I'll show you the ones that I've done, and I will show you the one that I've settled on, and I'm kind of forced to settle on that way, and I'll show you and tell you why. So, first, yeah, you have your typical Nub Straw Mod. It's not bad, can't argue with it. It worked. I'm just a tinkerer, so I like to continue going on. From there, went ahead and went to the Shapeways before the extended one was out. Also works. All these work, by the way. None of them are necessarily bad. I just like to tinker, so go with that. The Shapeways one I gave a whirl. Ended up going to the Shapeways extended one, which actually resulted one of the better ones, actually. Then I went over to giving like a Shapeways nub with like an M nub glued to it. You name it, whatever. Went on to make my own little nub. I will show you on the screen here in a second. Inside the hop-up, there is a counterbore at the bottom of it. So you have the diameter going all the way down. Then right at the very bottom, maybe about a 1/8 inch tall lip, there is a counterbore that reduces down to 5 millimeters. So if you look at the Shapeways nub that I made here, that little piece on the bottom here is about 5 millimeters. So it fits perfectly into what the hop-up is allowing you to have engagement on, if that makes any sense. I went ahead and started gluing like different rubbers to the bottoms of mine. And went out just giving it these are different duros, all the way ranging from like 40 to 80 just for softness of engaging onto the hop-up. I then decided I end up going to this style system. This ends up being the actual perfect diameter to fit to slide down the top bore. And again, 5 millimeters down here. Tried gluing some different duros on it. And I rolled with this, which some people have done different versions of. Essentially, there's a screw inside here. This hat kept it on top of the receiver. And you would just screw the screw down and it would, in theory, turn out like this. This would push down on my new nub here and lower it up and down. I kept the flange on top of here just as a datum, I guess a datum reference point. It never moved. I tried some without the hat and the heavy bolt ended up pushing this around, blah, blah, blah. I ended up going away from this also because the heavy bolt ended up moving this around, screwing it a little bit, and honestly I like using KP's heavy bolt. So yeah, I tried putting some Loctite on this. The problem with that is this doesn't have very good grip inside the receiver, so when you go to move this, it would spin the entire assembly. So that was gone. I got tired of messing with different stuff, so I ended up resulting with this. This is what I settled on, which is similar to one of these, just different diameter. This is the bag they come in. I ordered them from McMaster. The part number will be in the description below. It's 3/8/16. So the receiver, most, you got to measure it, but it should already be pretty dang close to the tap drill size for a 3/8/16. Some of you may have no idea what that is, so I've got some questions on that. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I will show you. Upper receiver, hop-up hole. Now, if you look at my hop-up hole, there is, see if I can get it to, there are threads inside the top of my hop-up hole now. Essentially, you don't have those from the get-go, so you go out and buy yourself a 3/8/16 tap. And in a nutshell, this is not how you tap a hole, but in a nutshell, there's two different types of taps in this world. Well, there's way more than two different types of taps, but for this situation, there's two different types. There's a starting tap and there's a bottoming tap. Layman's term, starting tap will have a little bit of taper here at the front. Kind of helps you get started in a hole. Bottoming will have threads going all the way up. I'd recommend grabbing a starting tap for the beginning of this procedure. It makes it easier to stay on the center of a hole and get into the hole. But in a nutshell, you would put it in top. You would grab a tap handle, something that grabs up here nicely. Keep this as level as possible in both directions. And it cuts threads into the top of the receiver. Now, some people, I want to say KP did, he only went about, let's say, halfway down the hole. That way he can still run a normal nub, per se, down in the bottom portion of it, and he's got a screw system that comes up and pushes it down, which is fantastic. I ran that too. You can only go about halfway down. Otherwise, if you put threads all the way down, up and down the receiver, this is going to have nowhere to slide up and down with. It's going to run into threads, and it's not going to be a smooth transition. I did that, and then I decided just to go another step because I'm me. Well, I tapped mine all the way down. The downfall and the con of tapping all the way down is I cannot reverse this process. So therefore, I pretty much can never run a standard nub. It's not that I can't. I can put one in there, but it doesn't slide very easily up and down the hole now with the threads being there. So I ended up going to a nub like this. This is pretty much as stable as you're going to get. Obviously, there's going to be no back and forth motion because it's threaded in the top of my receiver hole now. With this being said, this will not reach enough to engage the bucking enough to, for me at least, to hop 3-2s. Wouldn't recommend just running it like that. KP and I have also discussed many times. It's way more forgiving on the bucking, the nub, the patch, whatever terms you really want to use here. As far as the hop-up engagement goes, it's way more forgiving with a softer cushion pushing down. I am not knocking a harder portion. The harder portion, it seems, whenever it's engaging, it has way less give. So you might crack it or crank it maybe, let's say, 1/8 of an inch turn. Well, that could be literally the difference between you overhopping and not overhopping. You go to something that has a little bit of a cushion, and this is why I'm experimenting with 40, 50, 60, 70 duros, just for different cushion strengths. You might crack it that 1/8 of an inch turn more, and it may overhop just slightly, but it's controllable. It actually may just kind of go out and float a little bit and drop, as opposed to just kind of coming out and woo, saying goodbye, see you later, never see you ever again. And people are claiming, man, I can shoot 250 yards. Yeah, you can. I probably can too. I don't know when it's coming down, and it is definitely not accurately. But anywho's, it's a little more forgiving, I'd say, with a softer cushion. So also at McMaster, I've tinkered with a ton. They come in a much bigger sheet, but essentially it's just a rubber pad. I'll also put the part number down below. And what's great is I bought a 5mm hole punch. So simply just boom. And what do I got? I got this sweet, perfect 5mm little cushion that I just made. Awesome. You could either just drop that down on there if you'd like. You could glue it to this. I preferred to glue it. If you can tell, I actually end up gluing two. I run those, actually, I started running them in my Daytona guns too, and so far I'm enjoying it. Again, different duros, people got different, there's no one just, hey, this works for every single gun in the world. Everyone's a little bit different. So I'll show you what this would look like, essentially just kind of going in. So my gun is also R-hop, so it's going to take a little less engagement than someone that's not R-hopped. So screws in. I took everything out. Whoops. Took everything outside of the receiver so you can kind of maybe see here a little bit. So if you see, it's just a solid hole right now. There's no engagement. Blah, blah, blah. As I turn the screw, for those of you that don't understand how it's going to work, you can already kind of see it's a little flat there. You can see it's not perfectly round anymore. That's my R-hop patch being pushed into the barrel. And as I loosen the screw, it comes and goes, just like a normal hop would be. There's no need now for a stock screw. Obviously, it's not going to screw into this. The big benefit too that I find with using just a round bottom end, which again, it doesn't necessarily have to be this piece. It could be like someone that I 3D printed. It could even just be this piece. If you like these, I can put the part numbers of these too. The benefit of these is it really doesn't matter about orientation. It could literally rotate wherever it wants to. Because it's round, it doesn't really matter. It's not like the stock nub that pretty much has a direction that it has to be facing. Because obviously, if this nub decided to rotate the wrong direction, it would, I don't mind sanding it down, but I don't even have one over here anymore. But even the Shapeways nub, if it was to rotate out a little bit, then the engagement would be this weird cockeyed, and your BBs would be doing whatever the heck they wanted to. And I'm not knocking the Shapeways nub. Do not take it that way. This nub actually worked out really well for me. Again, I just like to tinker and continue just testing things. With that being said, if you even wanted to, you could essentially run a stock nub this way if you wanted to. They sell these in different lengths. So if you only wanted to tap your receiver to say, halfway again, you could put your stock nub down there, tighten your grub screw into it just a little bit just to hold it so it keeps its orientation and never comes back out. And grab something like this, a little bit different length obviously, and you would thread it down and it would engage the hop essentially. There's a lot of different things that I've experimented with. It seemed to work the best for me. I will show you a picture. It should have popped up, a little counterbore. I took a picture of it. I'll show you that. If anybody's got any questions or comments, put them in the comments below. This is in succession to my Facebook video that I posted real quick. But other than that, man, have a good one.